All right, let's get into it. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think pretty much every single English learner runs into at some point.
Oh, yeah, that one huge question, right? The one that keeps you up at night, which is just, why do I feel so stuck?
Exactly. You've been studying for, I don't know, months, maybe even years. You feel like you know the grammar, you know a lot of words.
But then you go to actually use it to speak,
Yeah.
and nothing. You just hit this invisible wall.
You hit a wall. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's our mission for today. We're going to look at what actually causes that stuck feeling. And then, more importantly, we want to share some simple daily things you can do.
Mm-hmm. And these are methods that are really based on how your brain learns. They're designed to help you start growing again and finally get to that advanced fluent level.
We've looked at all the science behind habits and learning to give you a really clear and easy plan to follow.
We're going to cover everything from just your mindset all the way to uh, a specific four-step study cycle that helps you turn the English, into the English you can actually use.
I want to start with a question for you, the listener. Have you ever had this feeling? You can talk about simple stuff like what you ate for breakfast or your favorite movie.
The basics are okay.
The basics are fine, but then you try to tell a real story, like maybe something funny that happened, like the time you completely forgot your wallet at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
And you're standing there and the cashier's waiting, and you're trying to explain what happened, and suddenly your English just
Yeah.
gets slow. It gets confused.
All the good words just disappear. And the sentences you manage to say they're too simple. They don't have the emotion of the story.
That's it. That's the classic sign.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because you know the right words exist somewhere in your brain, but you just can't find them when you need them.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling, that slowdown, is what people call the intermediate plateau.
And it's that moment where the effort you're putting in doesn't really seem to create the results you want anymore. But we want to be really clear about this right from the start.
With
This plateau, it is not a sign that you are failing. It is actually a sign that you have succeeded, you've mastered the basics, and now you just need to change your strategy.
Okay, so we're ready to get into it. We'll look at the power of these small habits and the exact techniques you can use. So let's begin.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the good news here. If you feel stuck at this intermediate level, it really means you've already come a long way. You have a functional level of English.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that actually mean?
Well, in the sort of official terms, people call this the B1 level. And a B1 learner can, handle most everyday things. They can travel, have basic chats.
Right.
And they can understand the main ideas if someone is speaking to them pretty slowly and clearly.
So you can get by.
Mm-hmm.
You can order your coffee. You can understand a news headline. You can survive.
Exactly. But the gap between that B1 level and what we call C1 or advanced, well, it's huge.
C1 is a whole different world, isn't it?
It's true professional fluency.
Yeah.
A C1 speaker understands almost everything. They can understand humor, deeper meanings, things that aren't said directly.
And they can speak fluently. They're not like constantly pausing and searching for the right word. They can talk about really complex things.
Yeah, things like politics or social issues or philosophy, and they can do it in a way that's clear and structured.
So that jump from just talking about your day to talking about, say, economic policy, that's a massive leap. It makes sense that it feels slow.
It does, and there's a really interesting reason why that progress feels so much slower now than it did in the beginning.
What's the science behind it?
Well, it all comes down to the words you're learning. Think about it. When you started, every single word you learned was incredibly useful.
Like go, eat, water, day.
Exactly. The most common words, in fact, just the top 2,000 or 3,000 words make up something like 80% of all normal spoken English.
Wow, 80%. So as a beginner, every new word unlocked a huge part of the language for me.
You were getting a massive return on your investment of time. The progress felt fast and exciting. But now, at the intermediate level, you already know most of those common words.
So to get to the next level, I have to learn words that are much less common, more specific words.
And that's the thing. You have to work so much harder to learn a word that you might only hear once a week instead of 20 times a day.
It's like it's like building a jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, I like that.
In the beginning, you find all the edge pieces, right? It's easy. You connect them and boom, you have the whole frame. It feels so fast. You see all this progress.
That's your beginner phase. Big, visible results.
But now you're in the middle, and you're trying to find that one little piece of blue sky among 100 other identical pieces of blue sky. It takes so much more work just to find one tiny piece. And when you place it, you can barely even see the difference.
That's a perfect analogy. The effort is much higher, but the visible reward is much, much smaller. And that feeling is completely normal.
So the goal isn't to get discouraged, it's just to accept that this slower pace is just. It's the new reality of advanced learning.
Absolutely. And this also connects to another problem people have at this stage, which is sometimes called the jagged profile.
What do you mean by that? A jagged profile?
It means you're not equally good at everything. Your skills are uneven.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I might be really good at reading a news article because I can go slow and look up words,
Right.
but then someone asks me a question about it, and when I try to speak, I just freeze. It's like a different person.
That's because those skills use different parts of your brain and, well, they need different kinds of practice. Reading builds passive knowledge. Speaking requires active, fast skill.
And this is where I think the real trap is. My English is good enough to survive,
Yeah.
right? People understand me. So I think, why should I learn a complex word like contemplate when I could just say, think about?
You've hit a comfortable spot. And in language learning, comfort is the enemy of growth. The pressure you felt as a beginner is gone because you're good enough.
So if I want to thrive and not just survive, I have to find ways to make myself a little uncomfortable again.
That's the secret. You have to actively change how you learn, using methods that force you to use those less common words, not just understand them when you read them.
Okay, so that's the problem. Let's move on to the solution, because it starts with understanding something really encouraging about our brains.
Yes. The most important thing to know is that your brain is not fixed. It is always, always changing.
I've heard this called neuroplasticity,
Yeah.
but that sounds way too scientific.
It does. Let's simplify it. Don't think of your brain like a house that's already built with fixed walls and rooms. Think of your brain more like a growing garden.
A garden, I like that image.
Every time you think a thought or practice an English sentence, it's like you're planting a new seed or making a pathway in that garden a little bit wider and clearer.
So when I first learned the word apple, it was like a tiny little path in the grass. But every time I said it or heard it, that path got stronger and wider. Until now, I can find that word instantly without even thinking about it.
Precisely. You are physically changing your brain. And what's really fascinating is what happens when you're managing two languages, your native one and English.
What's going on there?
Well, it's like a really intense workout for your mind. When you choose to speak English, your brain has to actively turn off or suppress your native language.
It has to ignore all those other words and grammar rules that it knows so well.
And that constant switching, that filtering, strengthens the part of your brain that's like the boss, the part that helps you focus, switch between tasks, and solve problems.
So I'm not just learning a language, I'm actually upgrading my brain's operating system. That's a huge hidden benefit.
It absolutely is. You're making your whole mind more flexible.
And what about the language itself? You mentioned that learning new grammar can actually change how we see the world.
It can, because every language organizes ideas differently. For example, in English, we are forced to say who does the action. I walk, she runs.
Right.
Some other languages don't require that. Or think about time. In English, we often talk about time horizontally. We look forward to the future, or we leave the past behind us.
I never really thought about that, but it's true.
Your native language might use a different metaphor, maybe a vertical one. So when you learn English, your brain has to build whole new maps for organizing basic concepts like time and space.
That's so much deeper than just memorizing vocabulary lists.
It is. Now let's add one more layer to this, which is your mindset. Because your thoughts, they are not just feelings. They are direct instructions for your brain.
So when someone says, oh, I'm just bad at languages, that's actually hurting their progress.
It's actively hurting it, because if you keep telling yourself, I'm terrible at English, your brain creates this powerful mental filter. Its only job is to find proof that you're right.
Can you give me an example of how that filter works?
Sure. Imagine you decide you want to buy a new jacket, a specific kind, let's say a blue denim jacket.
Okay.
You might not have noticed them much before, but the moment you decide you want one, you suddenly see people wearing that exact jacket everywhere.
Right. On the street, in the cafe, they're everywhere.
But the jackets were always there. Your brain just started showing them to you because you told it they were important. The same thing happens with mistakes.
So if my thought is, I always use the wrong prepositions, my brain's filter will ignore the 100 sentences I said correctly and zoom in on the one time I made a preposition mistake.
And it will show it to you in bright, flashing lights. It magnifies the failure.
Okay, so the practical advice here is to change the instructions I'm giving my brain.
Yes, you need to change the instruction. So instead of "I'm bad at English," try something that's positive and true, like "My English is under construction," or "I am improving every day."
I like that. Under construction.
Yeah.
It gives me permission to not be perfect.
And it shifts your brain's filter. It tells your brain to start looking for the small bits of progress, the little wins, instead of only looking for failure. And that's a critical first step.
Okay, so our brain is ready to change. We've got the right mindset. But how do we actually make this happen every single day, especially when life is so busy?
This is where we have to talk about the real secret. It isn't about finding some huge burst of motivation. It's all about consistency.
Motivation is great, but it's not reliable, is it?
Not at all. Motivation is like a bolt of lightning. It's powerful and exciting, but it's over in a flash. Habits. Habits are like the tide coming in, slow, steady, and unstoppable.
I think we all fall into that trap of waiting to feel motivated.
Mm.
I'll do a big 2-hour study section on Saturday when everything is perfect.
And then Saturday comes and you're tired or friends call and it just doesn't happen.
Never happens.
We have to flip that idea completely. The science is very clear on this. Action comes first, and the good feelings, the motivation, they come after the action.
So you don't wait to feel good to start. You start, and the act of starting makes you feel good.
That's it. The action is the cause of the feeling.
It's kind of like setting the sails on a sailboat. You don't just sit in the boat and wait for a huge gust of wind to push you.
No, that would be silly.
Right. You have to do the work first. You have to get out there and set the sails. You do the action. And then when the wind comes, it has something to catch.
The action of setting the sails makes the motivation, the wind, useful. And that idea leads us straight to the power of what we can call microbursts.
So really small sessions of practice. I think a lot of people still believe that longer is better, that a 4-hour session on a weekend is the best way.
It's one of the biggest myths in learning. Long sessions are not only exhausting, they're actually bad for your long-term memory. It's a process called cramming.
Like we used to do for exams in school.
Exactly. And we forgot everything the next day. Your brain learns best when you review information in short bursts, spaced out over time.
So if I study for 15 minutes today, and then 15 minutes tomorrow, my brain has to work to remember the information from yesterday. And that work is what makes the memory stronger.
That's the key. Short, focused practice, maybe 10 to 15 minutes every single day, is so much more powerful than one long, painful session once a week.
The consistency is it's like building a wall, one brick at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Each day, you just place one more brick. It doesn't look like much. It feels slow. But you look back after a few months,
And suddenly you have a strong, high wall.
so the focus should be on creating a system, not just having a big, scary goal. I want to be fluent is a goal. It's overwhelming.
A system is, every morning while my coffee is brewing, I will listen to 1 minute of an English podcast.
That's so small, it feels impossible not to do it.
And that's the point. You can link these new tiny habits to things you already do every day. That's called habit stacking.
Give us a few more examples of these tiny systems.
Okay. When you get dressed in the morning, say 3 English phrases you learned yesterday out loud. Or when you're waiting for a bus, read 1 English news headline on your phone.
Or when you're washing the dishes, listen to just one song in English.
Perfect. When you keep these tiny promises to yourself, you build momentum. And you start to trust yourself. That momentum is what will carry you over the plateau.
So the big takeaway here is that consistency wins over intensity every time.
Every single time.
Okay, we know we need to be consistent. We need these 10 or 15-minute microbursts. Now, what do we actually do in that time?
Right. This is where we get into the practical toolkit. To move from intermediate to advanced, you have to turn that passive knowledge, the words you understand, into active skill, the words you can actually use.
We need to go from being a good listener to being a good speaker.
Exactly. And for that, we recommend a very specific 4-part study cycle. The whole thing takes about 90 minutes in total.
But we're not doing it all at once.
No, absolutely not. You split these 90 minutes into maybe 4, 5, or 6 of those little micro bursts over several days. The only thing you need is a piece of content, a short video, a podcast clip that also has a full transcript.
The transcript is the magic ingredient, isn't it?
It is, because it makes the language visible and slow. Okay, let's break down the 4 steps. Step 1 is listening.
Okay.
And you do it twice with 2 different goals. The first time, just listen. Don't look at the text. Your only job is to get the main idea, the general feeling.
So no stress about understanding every single word.
Zero stress. Then, maybe the next day, you listen again. But this time, you read the transcript as you listen.
Ah, okay, so you're connecting the sound of the word to how it's spelled.
You are. And you're also seeing how words link together and flow in natural speech. This is how you really absorb the language deeply.
Right, that's step one. What's step two?
Step 2 is probably the most powerful and the weirdest feeling one. It's called shadowing.
Shadowing. This sounds a little intimidating. What is it?
It just means you repeat what the speaker is saying at almost the exact same time they're saying it. You are their shadow, their echo.
So I don't wait for them to finish the sentence. I'm talking over them.
You're talking with them, just a fraction of a second behind. And the reason this is so powerful is because it forces you to bypass that slow translation process in your head.
The one where I hear English, translate to my language, think of an answer, translate back to English.
It skips all of that. It trains your mouth muscles and your ears to work together automatically. It builds muscle memory for speaking English.
So how do I actually do it?
Just take a small piece of the audio, maybe 30 seconds. Listen to it a few times. Then try to speak along with it, out loud. Don't worry about being perfect. Just try to match the rhythm and the melody of the speech.
So if they sound excited, I should try to sound excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are mimicking everything. Just 10 minutes of this is an incredible workout for your fluency.
Okay, listening, then shadowing. What's step 3?
Step 3 is vocabulary mining. Now, you go back to that transcript, but you're not just looking for new words. You're looking for something very specific.
Which is?
You're looking for what I call Category 2 words.
Okay, what's a category 2 word?
It's a word that you completely understand when you read it or hear it, but you never ever use it yourself when you speak. Your brain is full of these.
Oh, I know this feeling. Like, I know the word essential, but I always just say very important.
That is a perfect example. Your job is to find those words in the text and decide to move them from your passive vocabulary into your active vocabulary.
And you said there was a key rule here, not just the word, but
The phrase. Always learn the phrase, not the single word. Words live together in families called collocations.
So don't just learn the word decision. Learn the phrase, make a decision.
Exactly. It makes your speech faster and much more natural. And once you've found a phrase you want to learn, you have to use it. That's the 3X rule.
The 3X rule. Okay, tell me about that.
It's simple. You have to try and use your new phrase 3 times in a real way within the next 24 hours.
So I could write it in a message to a friend or say it in a conversation with my tutor?
Or just record a voice note on your phone using it. You have to actively retrieve it from your memory. If you don't, your brain will just let it fade away.
That makes sense. Okay, so what's the 4th and final step of the cycle?
The final step is active retrieval, which is just a fancy way of saying summarizing.
So after I've done my listening and my shadowing and found my new words.
You set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes, and your job is to either speak or write a short summary of the material you just studied. And this is the important part. You have to try and use 1 or 2 of your new Category 2 phrases in your summary.
So it forces you to practice using the new language right away.
It forces you to organize complex ideas and access the language you need under a little bit of time pressure. And that is the exact skill you need to be a C1 advanced speaker.
That whole cycle sounds incredibly powerful. But broken up into little pieces, it feels really manageable.
That's the idea. Consistency over intensity.
So we have the science, we have a great routine. Now let's talk about some of those little daily behaviors that can really make a difference.
Yes. And maybe the biggest one is getting out of the habit of translating everything in your head from your native language.
Everyone always says you just need to think in English. But I mean, how do you actually do that? You can't just flip a switch in your brain.
It's not a switch, it's a muscle you build over time. And you have to start really, really small. Don't try to think about philosophy and English on day 1.
Start with what's right in front of me.
Exactly. Start by narrating your own life in your head using simple sentences. As you're making breakfast, just think, I am pouring the milk, the toast is ready.
Or looking out the window, it is a sunny day. That dog is running fast.
Yes. These tiny, low-pressure thoughts start to build a direct pathway to English in your brain. You're training your brain to go straight to English without taking a detour through your native language first. It makes a huge difference to your speaking speed.
Okay, that's a great tip. Now, what about mistakes? I have some mistakes that I make over and over, even though I know the rule.
We call those fossilized errors. They're mistakes that have become bad habits. And they're very hard to fix in fast speech because your brain just defaults to the old habit.
So how can I fix a mistake that's basically automatic for me now?
The best tool for this is writing. When you're speaking, everything is fast and the mistakes just fly by. But when you write, you have to slow down.
And you can see the mistakes right there on the page.
You see it. You can identify it, analyze it, and consciously correct it. Using that 10-minute summary time to write is a perfect way to work on your accuracy.
Okay, so writing helps with accuracy. But fluency is about speed. How do I practice getting faster?
For speed, you need output practice, but in a low-pressure way. The pressure needs to be just enough to challenge you, but not so much that it gives you anxiety.
So not a job interview.
Not a job interview. A language partner is great for this, a friendly tutor, but honestly, your phone is one of your best tools.
Just recording myself talking.
Yes. Record a 1-minute voice note every day. When you listen back, you'll hear things about your own speech, your rhythm, your pauses, your common mistakes that are almost impossible to notice while you're actually speaking.
That's a great idea. It's like having a coach, but without any of the pressure.
Exactly. And the last piece of advice is about exposure. Don't just consume English content that is at your perfect level.
So I should watch things that are a little bit too hard for me sometimes.
Yes. Maybe it's a documentary or a movie where you only understand, say, 70%. That's good for you.
Why? Isn't that just frustrating?
It can be, but it forces your brain to work harder. It has to try and guess the meaning from the context, from the visuals. That struggle is what creates new connections and pushes your brain to grow beyond its current limits.
It's training my brain to be okay with not knowing everything, which is a really important skill for real-world conversations.
You've got it. It all comes back to changing your methods to meet this new, more advanced challenge.
Okay, wow. We have covered so much today. Let's do a really quick summary of the most important takeaways.
Right. First and most important, feeling stuck is normal. It's a sign you're ready for a new strategy, not that you're failing.
Second, your brain is a growing garden. It's always changing. And you can direct that growth with your mindset. Use positive thoughts like, my English is a work in progress.
Third, consistency is your superpower. Small, daily microbursts, just 15 minutes a day, are much, much better than one long session on the weekend.
Remember to take action first, and the motivation will follow.
And finally, use that 4-step active study cycle. Listen, then shadow, then mine for those Category 2 phrases, and then summarize to practice using them.
You are so much more capable of reaching advanced fluency than you think. You just need to trust this process and build these small habits, one day at a time.
And that leads me to one final thought for you to consider. Since getting to an advanced level really means you have to let go of the fear of making mistakes so you can speak more quickly, do you think the final goal of learning English is actually perfect grammar? Or is it simply fast, clear, and effective communication?
That is a great question to think about this week. We are so proud of you for showing up today and for committing to taking your English to the next level.
Now, we have a very important call to action for you. What is the one word or the one lesson you learned today? Take a second to think about it.
And then please write it in the comments below. If you mind a new Category 2 phrase today, tell us what it is and how you're going to use it 3 times this week.
Every time you comment, you're practicing, you're using your English, and you're helping to build those new pathways in your brain.
Thank you so much for joining us for this. Keep learning, keep growing, and we will talk to you next time.